Hi, this is Mrs. Downey, and we are now going over our Algebra 2, Chapter 10, Conics Study Guide. I'd like to point out some formulas first. And here is our 10-2 formulas for Chapter 10-2. We're going to use this on numbers 1 through 4 of our study guide. Okay, so you can pause on this, or you can refer back to just by pulling back on the slider for your video, or taking a picture of this on your phone and leaving it out to the side while you work the problems. Okay, we're first going to work with parabolas. So we're talking about transformations of a parabola. We first work with them on the vertex of 0, 0 as a vertical parabola and a horizontal parabola. And then we're going to learn transitions, where h and k shifts them around on the x and y axis. H is the horizontal or x axis, and k is the vertical or the y axis. All right, so it says write an equation of a parabola with a vertex at the origin and a directrix of 5. So that means that you've got an equation. We're looking at a vertex at the origin and a directrix at y equal 5. So that means we're crossing through the y-axis at 5. That means that the focus, or the focal point, is down here at -5, which means we've got a parabola doing this. So we learned from our formula that the directrix, the formula for a, this is a vertical parabola. If we were to squeeze this parabola together in the same direction that it's already bending, it would end up on the y-axis, which is a vertical line. So it's a vertical parabola. So we are writing an equation which is 1 over 4c, or excuse me, y equals 1 over 4c x squared. Well, we need our c value, okay, and our c value is this focal point right there, or the focus point, okay. So we always know that the focus point is 0, c. So this is 0, -5. So our c value is -5. So we're going to plug that in right here. So it becomes y equals 1 over 4 times -5 x squared, or y equals -1/20 x squared. And that is our answer. Number 2 states what's an equation of a parabola with a vertex at the origin. So let's draw this again. The vertex here, and the directrix at x equal 3.75. So now we're going on the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's about right there. So it is a line crossing through our x-axis. That's the directrix. So that means that on the opposite side of our origin, it's equidistant from the origin. So if that's at positive 3.75, that means that we're going to be at negative 3.75 over here. And that is our focus point. That's our c value. So now this would be, because that focus always sits inside our parabola, it would be going this way. So if we squish this down, it would squish down on the x-axis. Right, so it is a horizontal axis. That means that everything's going to start with x equal 1 over 4c like the other, but we're just switching the x and the y. Y squared. And our c is -3.75, so it becomes x equal 1 over 4 times -3.75 y squared. And when you multiply that out, you get 1, or x equals -1 over 15 y squared. And that is our answer. Number 3, ask what are the vertex, the focus, and the directrix of the parabola with the given equation. Well, we look at this. We have 24y, I'm going to rewrite it, 24y equal x squared minus 4x plus 124. Okay, that trinomial right here, we couldn't factor that in easily. There's no two factors of 124 that add up to be -4. So we need to complete the square. So what do? Divide this x term, the coefficient, by 2 and square it. So -4 divided by 2 is -2, and -2 squared is a +4. So I'm going to complete the square by adding a +4. And then I'm also, so I don't change the equation, I'm just going to go ahead and subtract the 4. So in these two, I have just added 0. So now I'm going to rewrite this as 24y equals, and this is going to be x minus 2 squared. And 124 minus 4 is +120. Okay, so we're getting closer to our equation, which is y equals 1 over 4c x squared. So we're getting there. But now this is going to be the x squared. This is going to be the one with the vertex of h and k. So it's going to look like this one. Let me back up. Okay, and right here. All right, so we're looking at this guy right there. So that's our horizontal, and k is our vertical. So let's go back. So now I've got to divide everything by 24. So that we'll just put a 1 out there and divide it by 24. And this divided by 24. And when we do, this goes to y equals 1/24 times x minus 2 squared. And then 24 goes into 120, I believe, 5 times. That's correct, 5 times. Now, there's my k, is my 5. So we've got, we need to get our h, our k, and our c. So we know that k is equal to 5, and it's going to be x minus h. So my h is equal to 2. So that's my h right there. And then my c, this bottom number here is 4 over c, or you could do it this way. You could say 1/24 equals 1 over 4c, right? Because that's where that goes in the equation. So cross multiply, and you get 24 equals 4c. Divide each side by 4, and you get that c is equal to 6. Now we have what we need. So what did they ask us for? They ask us for the vertex, the focus, and the directrix. Oops. Okay, so our vertex, I rewrote these right here, save some time. H is equal to 2, k is equal to 5, c is equal to 6. So my vertex is hk, which is 2, 5. There's my vertex. My focus is h, which is 2, and k plus c. So 5 plus 6, which is 11. And my directrix is an equation because it's a line going through the y-axis. So it's y equals k minus c. Well, k is 5, c is 6, so k minus c is -1. And that is your answer for this equation. The vertex, the focus, and the directrix. And I'm going to stop right here. Okay, number 4 on Chapter 10 Study Guide, ask us what's an equation of a parabola with the given vertex and focus. So they give us a vertex at 3 and 2. And then they tell us our focus is 8, 2. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's way down here, 8 and 2. So there's our focus. We know the focus is inside the parabola, so this parabola is going to be sitting in here like that, right? So we know that this is a horizontal parabola. So we're going to use the horizontal formulas. So this is going to be equal to, and it's over the x-axis, so it's x equal 1 over 4c y squared. But because we've shifted this, we've got to take into account the h and the k. So this becomes y minus k squared plus h. Okay, so now we know our c is right here. It's our focus, and that is going to be okay. So let's look back up at our vertex. We know the vertex for a horizontal parabola, this is our h and that's our k, and we know that the focus is h plus c and k. So definitely our k's are 2, right? So a 2 is going to go in for k right there. And then our h we know is 3, so that's going to be 3. Now we just have to find our c value. Okay, well, look at this right here. The h plus c is equal to 8, and we know that h is 3. So 3 plus 5 is 8. That means that our c must be 5. So now let's finish this out. X equal 1 over 4 times 5, which is 20, times y minus 2 squared plus 3. And that is the equation. So now if you will take a look at the 10-3 formulas we're going to use on numbers 5 through 8 of our study guide. This is all about the equations of a circle. So we've got our standard form of an equation of a circle with the center at hk and radius r. It's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared. And then to transform it, here's some rules about transforming. Okay, and I'm going to let you pause it right here if you need more to take a picture of it. Okay, so now let's look at number 5. It says write an equation of a circle with the given center and radius. So we know that it's going to be x, this is our h, and that's our k, and that's our r. So it's going to be x minus h, which is 7, squared plus, excuse me, yeah, that's right, plus y minus k, which is negative 7, squared equals 8 squared. And then we clean this up and simplify that. So it becomes x minus 7 squared plus y plus 7 squared equal 64. And there's our equation. That's correct. Okay, number 6 says write an equation for the translation of x squared plus y squared equals 64. And they want us to move it 6 units to the right and 4 units down. So that's going to be a plus 6 minus 4. Okay, so we're going to go x minus 6 squared plus y minus a negative 4, which is going to turn to plus, squared equal 64. So that just stays the same. And that's our equation. Number 7 says, what is the center and radius of a circle with the given equation? And they give us x minus 2, so there's your h, squared plus y plus 8 squared equals 25. So we know that's our r squared right there. So r must be equal 5 because r squared equal 25 square root each side, and you get r equals 5. So our radius is equal to 5, and it's a distance, so we don't use the negative 5. So now our h, we know the formula goes x minus h. So h is equal to 2. And it's y minus k. So for that to be a plus 8, k has to be a negative 8. So the center is hk, so our center is 2, negative 8. And the radius is equal to 5. And that's our answer. The next problem asks us what is the graph of the equation. So again, it's the x minus h. So we know that h is equal to negative 5. And then y minus k, so k must be equal to 6. And this is our r squared. 16 is our r squared, so r must be equal to 4. So we know we're going to have a circle at that means the radius is hk, right? So that's going to be negative 5 and 6 with a radius of 4. So we're going to find our vertex of the center of the circle at negative 5 and 6. So back 5, up 6. And it's going to be up here, negative 5, 6. And then it's going to have a radius of 4. So we're going to go out 1, 2, 3, 4. So about right there. So it would be something like that in this axis. Okay. Here's the notes for 10-4 on 9 through 11. And you can pause and copy these. Now we're working with the ellipse. Our standard form, our standard equation for horizontal is there, or actually here. And then the vertical is here. All right. So let's take a look. It says write an equation of an ellipse in standard form with the center at the origin with the given characteristics. They have a vertex at 4, 0. So that means A, we're looking for A and B. So that's my A, and my B is 1. So it's going to be x squared over A squared plus y squared over b squared. And that's going to be equal to 1. So a squared is 4 squared, which is 16. And b squared is going to be 1. So it's going to be our final equation, x squared over 16 plus y squared over 1 equals 1. And that's our equation. The next, it says, what are the foci of the ellipse and to graph the ellipse? Okay, let's work number 10. I've got x squared over 49 plus y squared over 64 equal 1. So 64 is my bigger number, so that is my a squared. 49 is my smaller number, so it's my b squared. That means that a equals 8 and my b is equal to 7. So we know that this is something that looks like on the y-axis from 8 to negative 8, and on my b-axis from 7 to negative 7. So it is something like that. And they want to know what are our foci. And we know this is my major axis here with the 8s on it. So we know that our bigger number was with the y squared. So we know that this is going to be vertical ellipses. And so we are going to look for the foci being right here at 0, positive, and negative c. Okay, so we know this is a vertical ellipsis. All right, so what we're looking for is the foci, which is 0 and positive, negative c. So we need to find c. We've got a and b, which is 8 and 7 respectively, but now we need to find c. So we know from our c squared equals a squared minus b squared formula that we can plug in 64 minus 49 equal c squared. And 64 minus 49 is 15. So c squared equal 15, or c equals positive negative radical 15. So that is our c value, and that's what they ask us for, is the foci. So it's going to be 0, positive negative radical 15. They ask us to graph it, so it would look something close to this with, let's see, radical 15 is about almost 4, not quite 3, so our foci would be about in there somewhere. Whoops, excuse me, on the y-axis. So about there and there. Okay? Okay, so for this equation, it says what's the standard form equation of the ellipse shown? And we know that our largest number is 4, so that's our a value, and it's with y. So we're going to have x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equal 1. So we want to start by getting our a value, the largest number, which is a 4, a negative 4. So that's a is equal to 4. So this becomes y squared over 4 squared. And our x value is our 2. So it's going to be x squared over 2 squared. So our final answer is x squared over 4 plus y squared over 16 equal 1. And that's it. So our next section is about hyperbolas. So I'm going to show our formula page here, and you can pause here and study it and go back to it if you wish, or shoot a picture with your phone. And I'm moving on now. Okay, number 12 is about hyperbolas. It says a hyperbola has a vertice of positive, negative 5, 0, and one focus, 8 and 0. What is the standard form equation of the hyperbola? So we first have to decide what kind of hyperbola is this. Well, it says its vertices are on the x-axis. So if you look at that, that is, if this is x and y, and they're at 5, 0, and negative 5, 0. So that's its vertices. And it has one focus point of 8, 0. So out here is its focus. That means that this hyperbola is sitting like this and this. Okay, and it doesn't ask us to graph it, it just asks you for the standard equation. So we know that this is a horizontal hyperbola, so we're going to use those formulas for horizontal. So because our vertices is at 5, positive and negative 5, that's our a value. So a equals 5. and the focus is our c value. So we're going to use our equation of c squared equal a squared plus b squared. We need our b to get our formula. So let's plug in our values. C squared is 8 squared, which is 64, equals a squared, which is 25, plus b squared. Subtract 25 from each side, and we get 39 equal b squared. So now we can just create our formula. So it's going to be x squared over, it's going to be x squared over 25, all right, minus y squared over 39 equal 1. And that's our equation. Our next equation, number 13, says graph the conic section. What are the vertices of the hyperbola with an equation of 4y squared minus 36x squared equal 144? Graph the hyperbola. So the first thing we want to do is get this in a format that we can work with. So we need to divide everything by 144, and you'll see that it will magically work out for us. That goes to 1. And 36 goes into 144 4 times, 4 goes into 144 36 times. So we end up with y squared over 36 minus x squared over 4 equals 1. So there we have it. That means that our a value, or a squared, is 36, so a is equal to 6. B squared is 4, so b is equal to 2. So now we've got to get our vertices, and so the a value is our vertex, that's our vertices. So we know that it is on the y-axis at 6 and negative 6. So there's our vertices. We know this is going to be a vertical hyperbola. So the vertices officially are 0, positive, negative 6. Okay, so there's the first thing. Next they ask us, what are the vertices? Graph the hyperbola. So now we are going to graph, we know that that's our transverse axis, and the other one is going to be between 2 and 2, negative 2. So there they go. And then you would draw your box out like this. Draw your, whoops. Oh, that's not coming out very clean. Well, you would graph your box there and then go through your vertices using those asymptotes. Those lines that I'm crossing through the box of my transverse. So we're going to graph. The very last step is to graph, and I ran out of record time. So we're starting right here. We've solved our equation, which was to find the vertices of the hyperbola with the equation 4y squared minus 36x squared equal 144. We divided everything by 144, simplified, and we got our hyperbola equation with my a square, or my a equaling 6 and my b equaling 2. And we know the vertices, which is our vertex of each hyperbola. So now we're going to graph it. So we know that our vertices are at 0, positive 6, and 0, negative 6. So let's just play like that 6, a positive 6, and that this is a negative 6. So we've got vertices here. All right. Now, what else we know is a equals 6, which that's at our vertices. So that's this axis, and then our b equal 2. So now let's do it about right there, right there, and now we're going to draw this line. So you want to draw a box at 6 and 2 and -2. It's really off, but here's our box. Alright, now if you can draw your asymptotes through the corners of these boxes, through the origin. Oops, try again. The corners of the box through the origin. Corners of the one more time. Corners of the box through the origin. And now, starting at your vertex. This is going to go on forever and ever. You're going to draw. Those are your asymptotes. So go through the vertex and on down. So there's that one. I'll use a different color here. Oh, here. So there's that one, and then let's go up here, and then this one would be coming in through here. Okay. So you would be picking this from a multiple choice answer, so you would just know that that's how you find it. You could also get your asymptotes with the slopes, and the slope formulas are given right here with your asymptotes right there. It's the positive and negative. For vertical, a over bx, and for the horizontal, it's y equals positive and negative b over ax. But just for visual and to go quickly, I just draw them through the corners of the box, and you get the box by the two, the conjugate and the transverse axis. The transverse is the one that your vertex sits on, and then the conjugate is your b value. So you want to go out to b, then draw your box, draw your lines through them, and then your focal point runs through there. Okay. So that's everything, and thank you for watching. I know that was quick, but they're closing up the building, and I was rushed, and I'm ready to go. Goodbye. So the end of chapter 10 test, I'm making a separate video for the answers. So first there is where your answer guide, where you find every single problem, and that was printed on every single study guide I passed out, and the one online that's there. So I forgot to put that in the previous video, but there it is. Now here's our answers for this chapter, or for this chapter test. So here's 1 through 7. You can pause and check those. I'm going to move on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here's 8 and 9, and pause now. Here's 10 and 11. And pause now. And here's 12 and 13. And that concludes the test. Thank you for watching, and good luck. Study hard, and you won't need luck.